Midlife comes with questions, some loud, some quiet, some you didn't even know you had until they showed up in the middle of a Tuesday. And sometimes the right book finds you at just the right time. These 10 books help me feel more grounded, more curious, and more open to what's next. I'm not saying they'll solve anything, but they just might offer something meaningful for this season. Number 10, Navigating the Messy Middle by Ann Douglas. The title alone felt like a lifeline, Navigating the Messy Middle, because that's exactly what midlife is. Messy, complicated, in between. Ann Douglas doesn't pretend to have it all figured out, and that's what makes this book so powerful. She gives voice to what so many of us are quietly carrying. The exhaustion, the identity shifts, the caregiving, the questions. And she names the pressure to have it all together when life feels anything but. This isn't a list of 10 ways to reinvent yourself. It's a compassionate, honest look at how to be in the middle of it, how to hold space for your own needs, how to grieve what's gone, how to listen to what's trying to emerge. And what really struck me was she talks about reclaiming agency, not by doing more, but by finally listening to what you need, not your kids, not your partner, not your boss, you. And it reminded me that even when we feel stuck or unfinished, we are still becoming, still worthy, still whole. Reading this felt like having a conversation with a friend who's walked the same road and isn't afraid to say, yeah, it's hard, but you're doing better than you think. And if you're in a season where everything feels undone, uncertain, or just in progress, this is the book for you. Number 9, Show, Don't Tell by Curtis Sittenfeld. This one snuck up on me. It doesn't shout, it doesn't preach, it just reflects. Show, Don't Tell is a collection of short stories. And honestly, each one feels like a tiny mirror. They're not flashy or dramatic, but they're real, subtle snapshots of women's lives, full of moments you almost miss, but then you can't stop thinking about. The stories live in the spaces between the words, the stuff we don't say, but feel in our bones. The quiet grief, the unspoken resentment, the subtle longing for something more. Sittenfeld writes with this kind of emotional precision that makes you stop mid-paragraph and think, that's me. Not because you've lived the exact story, but because you've lived the feeling of it. And that's what makes this such a beautiful read for midlife, because this is the season when a lot of us are re-examining our choices, our identities, the little things we've tucked away to keep the peace or keep moving forward. What I love about this book is that it doesn't hand you big dramatic revelations. It lets you notice them for yourself, slowly, quietly, honestly. It's not loud, but it lingers. Number 8, Validation by Dr. Carolyn Fleck. This one surprised me in the best way. Validation isn't just about how we talk to other people. It's about how we hear them and how we hear ourselves. She's a psychologist who breaks down what it really means to validate someone else's experience and what happens when we don't. And wow, it hit home. So many of us grew up learning to minimize, deflect, or fix everything, especially as a woman. We're taught to be the peacemakers, not the truth tellers. But this book gently shows you that validation doesn't mean agreement. It means presence. It means saying, I see you, I hear you, what you're feeling makes sense. And honestly, reading this book made me realize how often I brush past my own feelings, thinking they were too much or not a big deal. This book helped me slow down, to offer myself the kind of compassion I so easily give everyone else. If you're navigating big feelings, your own or someone else's, validation is like having a wise, kind friend walk beside you. Number 7, The Grieving Body by Dr. Mary Frances O'Connor. Grief is something we often try to manage with our minds, but this book reminds us it lives in our bodies too. The Grieving Body is written by neuroscientist and grief researcher Dr. Mary Frances O'Connor, and it completely shifted the way I think about loss. She explains how grief doesn't just affect our thoughts and our moods. It changes how we move, how we sleep, how we breathe. It lives in our bones, our muscles, our cells. And it makes so much sense to me because in midlife, grief can show up in so many forms, not just from death, but from transitions, endings, things we've outgrown or had to let go of quietly. I actually got to interview Dr. Mary Frances O'Connor for an episode of Real Insights on my Empart YouTube channel. And let me tell you, she is so gentle and so wise, and the way she talks about the body's role in grief felt like an exhale. This book doesn't offer quick comfort. It offers understanding. And sometimes when you're holding something heavy, that's what you need the most. Number 6, How to Age Disgracefully by Clare Pooley. Sometimes you just need a book that makes you laugh and feel seen. How to Age Disgracefully does both. Clare Pooley brings together a cast of characters who are older, wiser, and a little bruised by life, and not quite ready to fade quietly into the background. And honestly, same. What I love about this book is that it doesn't glamorize aging. It doesn't pretend everything is going to get easier, but it does show how we can still be brave, still be bold, still be ourselves, even when the world seems to stop noticing. It's fiction, yes, but it reads like a love letter to every woman who's ever wondered if her best stories were already behind her. And the best part, it sneaks in wisdom with every laugh. You're turning pages because it's fun, but suddenly there's this line that lands in your chest and you realize, oh, this is for me. Spoiler, your best chapters, they're still ahead. Number 5, Good Energy by Dr. Casey Means. If there is one book that helped me understand my body in a whole new way, it's Good Energy. She's a Stanford-trained doctor who got tired of treating symptoms and started asking deeper questions like, what's really going on underneath all of the inflammation, the fatigue, the burnout that so many of us feel? And here's what I loved. This book doesn't talk down to you. It's not about chasing perfection or biohacking your way to some ideal self. It's about listening, reconnecting, remembering that your body is constantly trying to talk to you. And maybe, just maybe, it's time we started listening a little more closely. For me, it was such a refreshing shift. I've spent years trying to fix things about my health without really understanding what my body needed. This book helped me feel more compassionate towards myself and curious instead of critical. If you're in the middle and wondering why your energy feels off, or you're just tired of the one-size-fits-all wellness advice, Good Energy might open a new door for you. Number 4, Gentle by Courtney Carver. I treat myself like someone I love gently most of the time. This is a practice after all. That line stopped me, not with a bang, but with a quiet little nudge. And honestly, it set the tone for everything that follows in Gentle. This book isn't trying to push you or fix you. It invites you to soften, to breathe, to remember that being kind to yourself isn't some luxury. It's essential, especially in midlife when so many of us are renegotiating our pace, our priorities, our boundaries. What I love most is that it's not about doing more. It's about doing less, but intentionally. Saying no without the guilt. Letting go of shoulds. Choosing rest over hustle, even when it feels unfamiliar. There's this thread of grace that runs through the whole book. Not performative self-care, but the real kind. The kind that whispers, you're doing the best you can, and that's enough. If your inner voice could use a softer tone these days, Gentle is a beautiful place to start. Number 3, Sandwich by Catherine Newman. If you've ever felt like the glue holding everyone together, your kids, your parents, your partner, your friendships, Sandwich will hit you right in the heart. Catherine Newman has this gift for writing characters who feel like people you've known forever. In this story, we meet Rocky, a woman who's right in the thick of midlife. She's caught between raising a family, caring for aging parents, and figuring out who she is right now. And that so much of life has shifted for her. But this isn't some heavy, dramatic novel. It's funny, it's messy, and it's warm and real and tender in just all the right places. There are moments when I laughed out loud and moments I had to just sit there and let a sentence settle in. What I love most is how honest it is about the emotional whiplash of this stage of life. How love and grief and joy and resentment can all show up at the same dinner table. And if you've ever felt like you're in the middle of everything and everyone, Sandwich will make you feel a little less alone and a lot more understood. Number 2, Everything I Wish I Could Tell You by Dr. Mikala Albertson. Some books don't try to fix you. They just sit beside you and tell the truth. Everything I Wish I Could Tell You is one of those books. Mikala Albertson puts words to something so many of us have been carrying for years, but never knew how to name. Because what we're feeling, it's not just stress. It's a kind of exhaustion that lives in the bones. This book gently, fiercely, pushes back on the pressure to smile through the pain, to age quietly, to keep your discomfort polite. It invites you to tell the truth about what hurts, what's unfair, and what you've been silencing for far too long. It doesn't offer a cure. It offers language. And sometimes that's the most healing thing of all. Number 1, Whole Brain Living by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor. This book changed me. I didn't expect it to. I thought it would be interesting, maybe even enlightening. But Whole Brain Living hit something deeper. Dr. Jill is a neuroscientist who had a massive stroke years ago. And what she learned about the brain and about how we each have 4 characters inside of us and how they take turns leading our lives, it's wild, but also so deeply intuitive once you hear it. When I interviewed her for Real Insights, I thought I'd be the one asking the questions. But by the end, I was in tears because I realized I'd been living most of my life from one part of my brain. And that's character 2, the part that's reactive, protective, fearful even. And when I looked back at some of my choices, my relationships, even the way I talked to myself, it was like someone turned the lights on. What I love about this book is that it's not about labeling yourself or fixing anything. It's about understanding who's running the show and learning how to invite other parts into that conversation. If you've ever felt stuck in a loop or wondered why certain patterns keep showing up, Whole Brain Living might be the insight you didn't know you needed. The truth is, midlife doesn't come with a roadmap. There's no one book that will unlock it all, no single voice that has the perfect answer, but sometimes the right words at the right time, they help you feel a little more grounded, a little more understood. And these 10 books, they didn't just give me insight. They reminded me that I'm still growing, still evolving, still allowed to change. And if even one of them speaks to something you've been quietly carrying, then sharing them was worth it. I'd love to know what books stayed with you, especially the ones that made you feel seen in this season of life. Drop it in the comments or just take a quiet moment to notice what's been resonating lately. We're not figuring this out alone, and we don't have to read our way through it alone either.